This video puts together some pieces of lore that are from the book Esper's Emporium of Esoterica. It is available in hardcover and PDF. See the link down in the video description to get yourself a copy. It contains a wealth of 5e player character options and Game Master content. In fact, there are over 170 monsters and NPCs in the book, including those that are featured in this video. The Adamantine Golem. Dark, lustrous metal covers the giant construct. Its plates meld together in an array of severe shapes and menacing points, and its gaze is that of emotionless imposition. When it walks, the ground trembles, and when it closes its fists, it seems capable of toppling whole castles. The greatest work of golem craft. Adamantines are considered by many to be the most powerful of golems, representing the limits of what is possible when it comes to the engineering of constructs. As such, they are only fashioned by the mightiest and wealthiest of beings, those rare magical entities who possess abilities and arcane secrets of legendary rank. An adamantine golem is a bulwark of defenses that shrugs off most spells and weapons, much to the dismay of its enemies. Its fists strike like falling boulders. It seizes targets at a range with bindings of magical force, and if a foe should manage to stymie the golem, it soon surges back into action, releasing a devastating shockwave as it does. A tale of shadows and deathly steel. This account is told by the Masked One. He was once a Shadow Lord, which are the strongest beings in the plane of shadow. He was slain by the Night Queen centuries ago and has since existed only in spirit form. I will not go into detail about how the Soul Forge functioned, but suffice it to say it did not burn coal. There, in my castle within the plane of shadow, I fashioned wonder after wonder, each greater than the prior. My preferred material was adamantine, as much for its dark beauty as for its incredible strength. After completing my armor and sword, I could not rest. My mind crackled with inspiration. I had made a few enemies over the years. Thus it was time I made an ally like none other. For 1 year, I fashioned shadow steel, bit by bit. I had crafted golems many times before, but never with adamantine. The Soul Forge had proven an effective means of working the metal, which, due to its extreme hardness, is excruciatingly difficult to forge without magic. Upon Shadow Steel's completion, I looked at him and marveled. Truly a walking fortress of metal, as though an avatar of some outer god whose mere presence caused the air to thrum with eldritch energy. His face was like the mask from my own helm, though with a scowl in place of a grin. He was too large and too heavy to stay inside the castle. Thus he kept to the gloomy hills that lurched beyond the ring wall. My every command he heeded with cold precision, and to him I gave the power to summon my beloved armor and sword, should the need arise. And as tensions between the Night Queen and I were building, I foresaw that the need would indeed arise. I will admit that artifice was my second love. My first love was power, and not just any power, but great power won by my own cunning and ambition. For some time, I had treated with Nergoi, a three-headed giant lord with his eyes set on usurping an icy region of the underworld. I executed a spectacular scheme in which I captured the Prince of Frost from the plane of Fairy and delivered him to Nergoi in exchange for a Stygian shard that enhanced the properties of Sombrus, my greatsword. The whole affair was made all the more delectable by the fact that the Prince of Frost was the paramour of the Night Queen. I had struck a deep wound to my long-standing nemesis, and I do not deny that it gave me such pleasure. Recoil in disgust, if you will. The brightest gods of light cast the longest shadows. The cosmos would be incomplete without me. Then came my demise. The forces of the Night Queen tracked me down, and as I battled her, a cadre of invisible assassins slew me. My sweet delight met a bitter end. When I perished, my faithful shadow steel called Sombris and the parts of my armor to him. He gave them to my servants, who followed a shadow crossing into the material plane, into a misty realm known as Drekengrim. Throughout that land of dreams and nightmares, they hid the pieces. As for Shadow Steel, it pains me to say that he did not survive the siege of my castle and the destruction of the Soul Forge, but he must have slain scores of the Night Queen's thralls in the fight, and that does make me grin. I slunk and stumbled through blind blackness for so long, a broken spirit, a fragment of what I once was. At last I heard a voice of tormented pleas, and I followed it through the ether. I came upon a man in anguish, a pirate, in fact. My spirit had come to the ethereal border of the material plane. Surely it was due to my dear artifacts hiding there. The man gave me one of his eyes. He gave me sight again. In exchange, I gave him a sliver of power and an opportunity to rise from the hopeless circumstances he was in. The pact was mutually beneficial. And what did this pirate proceed to do? He cast off his piteous self-loathing and took up the blade of ambition. He framed the ship's captain for the murder of the first mate. Then in a duel of so-called honor, he killed that bastard who had tormented him for so long. Power was his to claim, and I smiled from the shadows as he took it. He became captain of the ship, Storm's Eye, donning the new name I gave him when he made his pact, Noxiqual. Find my sword in the parts of my armor, and learn what became of my defeated golem. That which was broken can be remade. You can become a champion, the likes of which this realm has never seen. The parts of the Masked One. As we have just heard, the Masked One is a dark spirit entity who was once a powerful artificer warrior in the Plane of Shadow. He was slain by the Night Queen after a number of grievous offenses against her. His golem managed to summon the parts of his armor and sword and hide them throughout a realm in the mortal world. Currently, the Masked One operates as a warlock patron and greatly desires a worthy champion who can reclaim all the parts. The parts are as follows. The Boots of Shadow Walking. After you travel on foot for at least 3 miles, uninterrupted, you can enter a supernatural state of movement. While shadow walking, you and up to 8 willing creatures you designate within 30 feet of you are able to quickly cover vast distances. Specify any location within 500 miles that is on the same plane as you, and after 1 hour of travel, you arrive at the destination. The shadow walking ends. The destination can be any exterior location you choose, even if you have never visited it before. While shadow walking, you and your companions ignore all manner of mundane hazards, such as pits, cliffs, deep water, or lava. It is unlikely that most creatures will notice you while you are shadow walking, for you appear as only a fleeting shadow passing by. If you take any action other than movement or speaking, the shadow walking ends immediately for you and your companions. If a companion takes any such action, the shadow walking ends for that companion only. It also ends for any companion who becomes separated by more than 30 feet from you. Noctis. While you're wearing this suit of half-plate armor, you gain an additional +2 bonus to armor class and resistance to necrotic damage. This armor is adamantine, so any critical hits scored against you are treated as normal hits. The Onyx Gauntlets. While wearing these gauntlets, you can open any object or portal, mundane or magical, that requires no more than a DC 20 ability check to open. As an action, you can cast Stone Shape. You can also use the spell to shape non-magical metal. Once you use this property, it cannot be used again until the next nightfall. The Onyx Helm. While you're wearing the Onyx Helm, your intelligence and charisma scores each increase by 2. This property can increase those ability scores above a 20. You gain dark vision out to 60 feet, or if you already have dark vision, its range instead increases by 60 feet. As an action, you can cast Detect Thoughts. Once you use this property, it cannot be used again until the next nightfall. The Onyx Helm allows itself, the Boots of Shadow Walking, and the Onyx Gauntlets to share the same attunement slot. Sombris. You gain a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls with this greatsword. Sombris can be used as an arcane focus. This weapon deals an additional 2d6 necrotic damage on a critical hit. It also deals an additional 1d6 damage whenever it hits a celestial. As a bonus action, you can speak the command word, and Sombris turns into shadow for 1 minute. During this time, the weapon's base damage becomes 2d8 psychic, and when both you and the target you attack with Sombris are in dim light or darkness, you have advantage on attack rolls, and your melee attacks with it have a reach of 15 feet. Once you use this property, it cannot be used again until the next nightfall. The Whisperer in Darkness, Dark Influencer, and Arcane Master. The Whisperer in Darkness is an enigmatic entity that offers its subjects esoteric knowledge of lost relics, secret passageways, and tenebrous spells. It wields magic to cloak itself in invisibility, to travel across unlimited distances, to manipulate the minds of others, and to banish foes beyond the limits of the cosmos. As with most great outsiders, it is difficult or even impossible for the Whisperer to exist on the material plane for extended periods of time. Thus, it works through cultists and dark scholars to achieve its goals. Avatar of the Mad King. The Wandering King has many forms which he assumes, one of these being the Whisperer in Darkness. Which aspect this dreadful outer god manifests at a given point depends on the necessities of the moment, the parameters of the plane he enters. Beyond such practical considerations, there is also the factor of his madness. It is not the common sort of mania or eccentricity that humans so often chuckle about. No, it is a consuming chaos that breaks through all bounds of reason. Only the greatest celestial beings of order bear counterbalance to his aberrant dementedness. The Whisperer in Darkness resides within a macabre palace on a distant outer plane. Reaching the palace is a task of immense peril, requiring a trek across a wasteland of mountains, gorges, and rocky ground. The ruins of temples are strewn throughout the desolation, in mockery of the collapses of forgotten gods. The sky is always night, with slithering nebulae and a moon that rotates to reveal a watching face. A few false palaces also exist within the plane. Through hallucinatory magic, they appear magnificent and stately, but in fact are no more than moldering caves inhabited by aberrations that whisper alluring deceptions into the minds of interlopers. Any creature that uses teleportation within the Mad King's realm immediately makes itself known to him, and he is able to send his Whisperer form to interfere. In a similar fashion, any creature that uses telepathy reveals its location to the Wandering King, and he can listen and speak to it by tapping into the mental communication. Horrors infest the landscape of this plane, crawling, burrowing, and winged things that wail and gnash and loathe all forms of sane life. These creatures scatter at the rumbles of massive footfalls, a sign that the ultimate guardian is near, an adamantine golem named Ichoros. The Wandering King plundered the design for this golem, along with the boots of shadow walking, from a hidden vault of the Masked One, after he was slain by the Night Queen. Thank you all for watching and listening. Don't forget to check out Esper's Emporium of Esoterica for this and tons of other lore and 5e options for both players and GMs. Also consider becoming a channel supporter over on Patreon, where I put out monthly content including newsletters and dungeon maps. I want to give a special nod of gratitude to all my patrons, in particular Lucas Mesmo, Modern Patron, Adam Wood, Nick Thy Pirate King, Jared Primont, Locke, Nicholas A., Technicolor Shale, Robert Brashini, Ben R., Till Wrench, Tornado, Agile Monk, James from KC, and Sassy Cat Productions. Until we meet again, my brave companions, may your adventures be many.